Obama's foreign policy helping or hurting the country? Simple question, complicated issue. Joining us now from Washington, Fox News political analyst Charles Krauthammer. So you're not agreeing with me here. I mean, I think overall I give him, President Obama, a B. First of all, you heard the Pakistan thing. I think the president's got to come out publicly and say, look, you got to release this guy. You say?
I say the Pakistan thing, exactly what you said, makes my case. What's more important than the war on terror? You have just said. We've demonstrated to the world that anybody on the globe who helps the United States in the war on terror, we're going to abandon, and they're going to be left out there hanging on a limb. There are two reasons why this guy's in trouble. Number one, the fact, as you pointed out, the administration, as Representative King pointed out, talks about these operations. Why? Because it wants a political credit. It talks about it in a way that is unprecedented and unconscionable. And if it wasn't, if it wasn't a direct leak, it was all this stuff.
They would have gotten him anyway, but that was a big mistake. The ISA would have gotten this guy anyway, but it was a big mistake. And then go ahead.
Yeah, but they got it on our authority from the highest authorities. Number two, another example. We just had this double agent in Yemen who discovered the new high-tech underpants explosive, right?
Yep.
It takes, you know and I know, that the hardest thing to do in espionage is to plant a double agent. And here we went, and because the administration wanted to dance on this one and spike it in the end zone, it blew the guy's cover. He had to be withdrawn, and we lost all the future information we would have gotten. That's an operation that could have yielded information for years.
Okay. So basically you're saying then that the President Obama is more interested in getting political currency from the things that he does well than really advancing the cause of espionage and intelligence overseas. That he doesn't really care about the long term. He just wants to be self-aggrandized.
I'm not just saying it, I just showed it.
Okay. All right. Now, overall, all right, that aside, those mistakes aside, what is President Obama's biggest foreign policy blunder, in your opinion?
I would put that in the top three. The other two are, in 2009, we were given a historic, an undeserved historic opportunity. Our biggest adversary in the world, in the region, particularly in the Middle East, Iran, was hanging by a thread. The regime was hanging by a thread. A popular revolution we had nothing to do with erupted. Here was an opportunity to change the entire strategic relationship of the Middle East. And what did Obama do? He did nothing.
What should he have done?
What should he have done?
Yes.
First of all, he should have spoken out on behalf of the demonstrators.
Okay, so he should have come right out and said, we support the people who are going up against the mullahs. We support them. What else?
But he did worse than that. He actually supported the mullahs for the reason that he wanted to keep the regime in office, in power, so he would have somebody to negotiate with on the nuclear program, under the assumption that because he is who he is, that he could sweet-talk the Iranian mullahs out of their nukes.
But that doesn't make any sense, Charles. Why wouldn't he want a pro-Western government if that's what took over? Make him a lot easier to negotiate nuclear than with these crazy mullahs.
That is exactly the question that history is going to ask him. How could there have been graffiti in the street by the Democratic demonstrators who were getting shot and tortured that said, Obama, which side are you on? That is a disgrace. But what else could
he have done except rhetoric?
Weaponry. He could have done a lot of things. Rhetoric is one thing, and not to support the legitimacy of the regime. Clandestine operations. Why do we have $50 billion in secret operations in the CIA, if not for an opportunity like this? He was hands-off. He did nothing, and we lost one of the great opportunities in history.
All right.
And the other policy I would look at is Russia, the famous reset. This is where he gave Russia everything they wanted. A nuclear treaty
and we didn't get
and they wanted. They got accession to the World Trade Organization. They've hungered for that for years. And they got a complete cancellation of the missile defense system we had worked out under the Bush administration with the Poles and the Czechs. So he cancels it without even telling the Czechs and the Poles in advance.
All right. You're giving him the drones, though, right?
And got nothing.
You're giving him the drones, right?
I'm giving him the drones. I give him a D.
All right. Charles, everybody, thank you.